Hey, what's going on, folks? Once again, this is the Bfree guys back with another broadcast. Of course, myself, LeVar. Got my co-host, Greg. Greg, how you doing, brother?
Doing wonderful, my brother. Doing wonderful, man. Little fighting through the distractions.
Yes. And of course, we're on our series of distractions. Of course, the month of April, we want to talk about distractions, life distractions, things that distract us from getting and accomplishing our goals. A lot of us have goals. We have things in mind that we dream about. We know we have, but we put them on the back burner, or for some reason, it's a distraction that causes us to veer off path or to take a different course than what we should be on. So, Greg, go ahead and talk. Give them a little synopsis of what we're talking about today as far as distractions.
So, we're gonna play a clip from Michael Saylor.
Okay.
And he's gonna give you a little peek. And one of the distractions, or one of the things that we are not able to see because of distractions, is that we're basically, as citizens of the United States and other westernized countries and civilizations, we are basically frogs in this slow boil or slowly boiling water, this pot.
Yeah.
And it takes things like the coronavirus, this enormous pandemic lockdown and extreme measures that were done in reaction to snap people and allow some people to kind of wake up and begin to really see what's going on. Because our normal distractions, keep us in a mindset where we just can't detect things, Yes. So without these things, these shocks to our systems, now obviously for, well over 500,000 families, this corona pandemic has, at the very least accelerated the demise of their loved ones. So there's nothing pleasant about that. But if there is, any takeaway that we can remotely call or frame up as being positive, is the awakening that it has sparked.
Yeah, you're right.
It's definitely sparked, a tremendous awakening and a tremendous movement, towards people understanding that if you can fight through the distractions, there is very viable solutions for you to have a greater sense of sovereignty over your life and your family.
That's right. Yeah.
So again, Michael Saylor is going to hit you all with some things. Now he's going to be, I think it's a little more than 2 minutes, making the points that he's making, and then we're going to come back and then kind of commentate, on what he said and give you, more of our spin, more of our interpretation of it. So here we go.
The most important idea is that the money supply has been expanding about 6 to 7% a year for a decade, from 2010 to 2020. And when the money supply expands 7% and the assets stay constant, then the price of the assets go up 7%. So the S&P 500 was going up about 8.5% for a decade, and the money supply was expanding. If you stop expanding the money supply, the S&P 500 would have stopped going up. What happened in March is that the money supply started expanding at 24%, so triple. The S&P jumped by 24, 25% instead of by 8% a year. And you have to now, if you're an individual, if you're a business or if you're an individual, you now need to become much more macroeconomically sensitive to the strength of the currency. If the currency was not expanding ever, then it doesn't matter. And if it's expanding at a slow rate, you can afford to ignore it. But when the currency starts expanding or the inflating at a more rapid rate, what happens is the prices all around you start to move, and then you have to interpret them properly. For example, you could say to yourself, well, there's no inflation, because I read in the paper there's no inflation. But the papers say inflation is CPI, but CPI is just an arbitrary metric. It's measuring the rate at which a market basket of items which I selected for you go up in price. And so I can select any basket of items, and there are no assets involved in that selection. So, for example, over the past 12 months, CPI looks like 1%, but the rate of but housing, if you wanted to buy the house, went up by 11%. But if you wanted to buy a house in Palm Beach, it went up by 29%. But if you wanted to buy shares of stock, they went up by 24%, and the NASDAQ went up by 50%, and Bitcoin went up by 400%. Okay, so is there inflation or not? Well, it depends on what you're tracking. What happened in general was the money supply everywhere in the world started expanding at double to triple the normal rate. And that causes the currency to weaken in purchasing power against scarce assets. That is, assets that everybody wants to buy. So the reason that the stock market went up is not because you're a genius and you pick good stocks. It's because the same number of stocks exist today as a year ago, but there are 25% more dollars. So a very simple way to think of it is, if I have 10 buildings on my, or 10 houses on my city block, and if I double the amount of currency and everybody has to live in one of the 10 houses, the price of the house is probably going to double. And so what's happening here is that the currency is weakening, and it's manifesting itself differently in different assets and products and services. And if you think about this, if I increase the money supply by a factor of 10, the cost of watching streaming YouTube videos is not going up, right? Because it's very low variable cost. But if I increase the money supply by a factor of 10 and there are only 10 houses in your neighborhood, the cost of the house is probably going up. So what you have is immediate inflation in assets. You have very slow inflation in consumer goods that are either, how do I go travel on vacation if it's not possible to travel on vacation? How do I go on a cruise if it's not possible to go on a cruise? So you didn't get the inflation in certain parts of the consumer economy. You got immediate inflation in assets. And so here's the big conclusion. In an environment where the money supply is expanding, if you don't have a large asset portfolio, then you can't you can't maintain purchasing power to buy the things you want in the future if those things are assets. And of course, they probably are. You probably want a nice house. You probably want cool things that are scarce. So this is why after the lockdown, it became very important to understand finance. You have to become much more financially sophisticated, because the playing field is tilted in favor of the asset owners against people that work for cash and a salary or generate cash flows. The value of your cash flows is falling at that 24% rate, and the value of your assets is accreting at that 24% rate. And the playing field is tilting in favor of people, in favor of Wall Street against Main Street, if you will.
All right, awesome. As you can see, Michael Saylor, yeah, he always bringing something powerful, always bringing some information. That's why we try to do our best to keep our ear to the ground. And of course, he's one of our mentors, because we see that, of course, with that laser focus, where he is on Bitcoin, and then just being real about what's happening. Of course, a lot of times, the big industries, they're not going to tell us and be honest with us. So you're gonna hear from other people, from others that's technically not in that circle. I mean, he's one of those multi-millionaires, but his focus on Bitcoin is good for us as well. All right. So Greg, go ahead and expand a little bit on that video. And
well, look, it's like you said, and brother, Wall Street Trapper said, look, the lion not gonna tell, the gazelles,
right,
how to get away.
Yes, correct.
And he's not gonna tell you how to do that. But if you figure it out, which then that's what our purpose is. Obviously, our primary purpose is to figure it out for our families, and then obviously, open up and share that information that we're figuring out that's applicable for our families, because it's going to be applicable for other people's families.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
But Saylor, man, he said a few things, and this particular video is about an hour long. So we just we grabbed just very, very short snippet off of it. But what he did say that hopefully you all caught. He talks about, obviously the increase in the money supply.
Mm-hmm.
But he goes on to say, inflation, for me, it's not the same as inflation for you. It's not one size, and I'm paraphrasing, so he didn't use these exact words. It's not a one size fits all. Inflation is really, manifested and translated into the cost, the amount that people pay for assets.
That's right.
So when you do not have assets to sell, you're only on one side of that manifestation. You're on the buyer side. So you're on the losing side because you're paying more for those assets.
That's right.
Now, if you are asset owner, right, then you get to benefit from the inflated, cost of assets, and that's probably the big takeaway that, people have to understand. Look, we gotta figure out how to own assets. Now, we advocate Bitcoin, we advocate some other, digital, currencies, cryptos. I'm not, that big on stock, and I'm less, rah-rah on stock now that I see, corporations rushing to put Bitcoin as a treasury reserve on their balance sheets.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And for my folks who've been around the way, man, well, look, if I got access to the plug, well, I'm going to buy from you and hope that you not going to step on it too much and then give me good value. And I could just buy it straight from the plug. You know what I mean? So it's really basic. It's basic. You can, once you have the information, once you know the source, you know how to get to the source, you know how to approach the source, you know how to engage with the source. Why do you want to have 2, 3, 4 layers of middlemen? You shouldn't want that. And cryptocurrency in general, but particularly Bitcoin, it was designed, it was created to liberate. We say it over and over. Its purpose is to liberate.
That's right.
So why go and put another man's, boot back on your neck when you have the opportunity to go directly to the source and be liberated?
Yeah. So, and inflation, of course, it hurts all around. I mean, especially for those that where your income is not increasing. Of course, that's for 95% of America. Right. Then also you got individuals that's on fixed income as far as Social Security and those type of things. And of course, those things are not increasing, and they will not keep up with inflation. So when we start talking about inflation, for those that may not understand what that means, that simply means that the price of goods and things, because there's so much money being printed and added to the supply to where those prices begin to go up. And of course, they affect us because now you start talking increasing costs for eggs and increasing costs for milk, for your basic essential items that you need, toothpaste, garbage bags, and those things, right? So when those things begin to increase, of course, they begin to affect us because they affect our bottom line. Because now, that $1,200 a month, used to be able to buy, 60 goods. Now it's down to 48 goods because of the price. All right. So it begins to hurt us on a level to where they're not really impacted because, of course, $1 million, when you're a millionaire, you go grocery shopping, you ain't really looking at the price. You want Fruit Loops, you buy Fruit Loops. You want Fruity Pebbles, you buy Fruity Pebbles. If you decide you want to, buy sushi today, you can buy sushi. But for those that's on a fixed income, and your salary ain't increasing because, of course, the company only has so much salary they can allocate to their employees doing this particular job. It affects you. It affects you directly. So it's important to understand that inflation is happening. And anytime they say they're going to print more money, bet inflation is going to happen, because you cannot put more money into the money supply without that causing inflation. That's just a direct correlation. That's exactly what it is. So basically the money you have in the bank, if you think they're saving, I got this money in the bank, I'm doing good. The more they print money, the least likely that money will last you what you stated for it to last.
Hey, you just said something, man, and it sparked an analogy, an example, in my head. So let's say that January of 2020, you were house hunting and you got pre-qualified, right? Based on your income and your existing debts and everything, you got pre-qualified. And you got pre-qualified. Let's just use simple numbers for $250,000.
Okay.
Right? Now, little shock to the system happened in late February and March, and then by April, May, we clearly were in total disarray.
Mm-hmm.
So you chose not to buy last January, right? Now you've got the same debt. You got the same income. Maybe, you had a company that said, okay, well, we're still going to give you that, that 2.8 annual, increase. Right.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But the monetary system was expanded by almost 25%. So now housing has gone up in many places. I can just throw a dot on the map here in Metro Atlanta and show you neighborhoods, communities where from one year to the next, housing has gone up, 18 to 25%. Right? Now, what that means, simple math. Let's just say 20%.
Mm-hmm.
The house that was selling for $250 is now selling about $300. Now you got to pre-approve for $250. You got the same income, you got the same debt, same BPI, same back-end ratio, same everything, right? You can only afford so much monthly mortgage payment. So what does that mean? That means you either got to come out of your pocket to pay that difference, that inflated, appreciated difference in so-called cash, or you got to go find another neighborhood with a $250,000 house. So, the first neighborhood that you was looking at January 2020, had, a little swim tennis and what have you. It was in a nice area, nice school district, nicer, right? Now, what you can get for $250, it's got tennis, ain't no swim, right?
Yeah, and of course,
got schools that ain't really feeding, the better high schools, right? So that's the real life example of how this monetary inflation affects people, and we don't make the correlation. We don't make the correlation, but it is a real effect. It is a real, encumbrance on our lives.
And and I think it's more so of just a lack of knowledge. People just don't understand that the about inflation, and we're talking about distraction. So of course, if I can distract you, with other things in life, to where you now, you're not seeing this picture that's going on over here, but you focus on, life and whatever distractions happening in life, right? So, I can continue to do what I do on this side, continue to make my bottom line thicker. I'm getting richer. I'm getting my buddy's getting richer. My family's getting richer. But yet you on this side over here distracted by whatever it is, whatever, if it's a distraction in a relationship, it could be a distraction of, you got too much screen time or, using your phone too much. If for something that's not productive, right? So these things are happening because I know you're not educating yourself on what inflation is. You're not educating yourself on what it means when more money hits the system. If I say, hey, I'm printing another stimulus check for you, of course, we're going to be excited because we're getting a check in the mail, right? Or direct deposit. But it's not telling you that the price of goods are, are about to go up.
I mean, look, real example, that 1,400 that, Biden pushed out, and I think Trump, pushed out somewhere close to 2,000. So let's just call it 3,500. That 3,500 is now requiring, if you're desiring to be a home buyer, it's requiring you to pay $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 more than what you would have paid a year ago, for the same $250,000-ish house. So is it a fair trade? Yeah.
So I would say, far as distractions. I mean, we know they're part of life, but don't let distractions keep you from seeing the big picture and what's taking place, because you can continue to keep your head underneath the pillow, hoping that things, hoping that this day hurry up and pass, but understand that life will continue to evolve even with your head underneath the pillow, right? So, and of course, as we look at things that's evolving, that's changing, the markets are changing. You got crypto situations that's happening, and we'll be talking more about that because, of course, we deep diving into some different areas that will be coming, and actually that's here, should I say? So what we'll be doing, of course, we'll be doing our job to educate you, continue to put out broadcasts, to be able to share and educate and empower the people. So of course, life distractions, they happen, but it's how you fight and how you get through them is what's important. All right, go ahead, Gene. And I got a quote. I said I'm gonna try to bring a quote at the end into my piece here. I'll do my quote, Gene, and then you can close out with the last thing. Okay, this quote is real simple. I think it's 4 words. Your anchor is down. Your anchor is down. All right. What does that mean? Well, a lot of folks, when you're in the middle of the sea and your anchor is down, you're deceived thinking you're moving because the water is moving. Right. So until you lift your anchor up, you can continue to stay in the same spot. All right. And of course, being distracted by the movement of the water, you forget that your anchor is down, or whether you pay attention that your anchor is down. So you're now stuck in one spot. You're rowing. You wonder why your boat ain't going nowhere, because the anchor is down. All right. So I want to say, with distractions can literally be anchors in the water. And you're wondering why your life is not moving, why you're not going anywhere, but it's simply because your anchor is down. Lift the anchor up, get to moving. If you don't know what direction you're going in, remember the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. All right.
Hey, that's a nice one there, man. That's a nice one. The anchor is down. Yeah. That's pretty powerful. So again, people, get information. Information is the key. Don't let distractions prevent you from getting information. That is the key to not only unlocking your freedom, but the freedom of your family. And along with seeking, information, we encourage you to seek some Bitcoin. Now, it's not only about Bitcoin, right? But that is a wonderful, wonderful foundation to have.
Right.
That is a wonderful. We talk about savings. Look at Bitcoin as your savings mechanism. It's a saving mechanism that pays dividends to some degree. Because it is going to increase in the cost as the money supply expands, as institutional capital continues to rush in to buy Bitcoin.
Yes,
it is going to increase.
Yep, it's inevitable.
So, and all you're getting, get information and get you some Bitcoin. It ain't hard. It ain't hard. We ain't gotta make it hard. That's right. It ain't hard. So today's what? Tuesday, what is the 6th? The 6th. So what, Thursday? Are we gonna announce our new product sector on Thursday? We're gonna hold it off until next week.
Yeah, we're gonna hold that off for about next week. Yeah, let's
okay. All right, yeah. Well, we got something We got something really, 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 really nice that we're focusing on. We have the Live to Be Free, the group economics environment, pretty much on autopilot. So we're going to be able to pull back our energy and our resources that we have been pouring into that to be able to focus more on, well, Hop just said, what we're going to talk about and announce next week. We can't announce it on Thursday. I want to tell you, but that's it.
Not yet.
Wait till next week. Okay. All right. So there we go. Hey, y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Cool. Peace. Let's get it.
Peace.